And we are live.
Hello, everybody.
See, I got this thing.
Hi, VZ. I want the Congealed Group and the Chocolate-tastic.
Toilet Chan needs dusting.
Toilet Chan.
It's like I fucking believe I got that figure.
They gotta make a 1/4 scale Toilet Chan. Or 1/4
quarter scale Toilet Chan.
With an actual flushing mechanism.
I understand that toilet's gonna be huge.
Like an actual flushing thing that makes the flushing noise.
You have to actually put water in the thing.
No, not actual water, but you press it, it makes a sound of it flushing.
Yeah, I was thinking you just put actual water, and it has a little mechanism that just circulates the water when you hit the button.
Well, that would be funny too. It would be. Yeah.
All right, let's get started.
Yep. Okay.
All right. In 3. Hang on. Let me get this link out.
Oh, yeah. Let me go to... I always forget. It's like the one thing I...
That. And that. That out there.
There we
go. And one more.
I hope our regular followers come, even if K-Gods isn't here.
It's an off week, so we might not get a whole bunch of live listeners, but that's fine.
Hey, they announced a kit that I'm interested in getting if it comes out for the Reborn 100.
Yeah.
I always forget its name, but it's the one from F91. I love it because it's such a lewd sounding name.
You picked like one of the random things I really have no perspective on the designs from.
Yeah, that's such a good. Yeah.
The only F91 design I really know anything about is the Denon Zon.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Vigna Gina. That's its name. Yeah.
Oh, I wish I was recording that.
That was one of the ones that's I actually remember, like, when I first learned to Gundam, seeing the kit for, because that was like in Forbidden. When I first learned to Gundam, that was kind of like the F90 kits were in stock in places.
Right.
So that was actually a lot of what I saw Gundam of. Including but it was also a bunch of stuff that I would find out never was in any of the anime, because they had the subline silhouette formula F91.
Right.
Which was actually a prequel manga. And Sentinel Gundam and see, actually, before we start, V Gundam, and then I remember the last kits I saw before I kind of like dropped off was V Gundam. But actually, even after that, the last Gundam I knew at the same time that it was out, was G Gundam, because I used to have a book that it was like it was basically like almost like a book that had it was like kind of like a MOOC. You know what a MOOC is?
Yeah.
a model book. Like no, it's like a combination of the word magazine and book.
Yep.
So it had a whole bunch of the kits available and a bunch of custom ones, all from G Gundam. And I was kind of like perplexed, like, first off, I didn't know anything about like UC and alternate century and all that. But I thought like seeing some of the ridiculous designs at that time, like, why does this one look like American? Why is it all different countries now? And of course, like looking at like, well, of course the Japanese one gets the normal looking one, and then there was like the windmill one and the Cobra one. Which is why when Gundam Wing came out on Toonami, that was like a totally surprise because that was something I didn't even know existed.
Right.
G Gundam was the last I kept track of. Then for years was not paying attention to Gundam at all, and then that's what I was. Oh, but yeah, Vigna Gina. That's the suit that was on Crossbone. That's a suit that was like on Crossbone Vanguard side, but then the character changed its sides.
Oh.
And there's a great scene of it being crushed by the mobile armor that's in the movie. Tentacles start like crushing it. Because what it basically looks like is a big flower.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
And then F91 does its thing where it's like flying really fast and it has like the after images. It's like
I think it's really cool how the F91 does that. Like the outer layers of its paint are peeling off, so it looks like it's just after imaging all the way all over the place. Also, I'm getting some echo on your end.
Ooh, okay. Let me okay. Good.
Let's see.
Test. 2D test.
I think we're all set.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're good.
All right. And I'm ready when you are.
Let's start the show. Welcome to NTR Radio. I'm Talk Force Anubis.
And I'm VZ Mark II.
Okay, guys, is in here. So we're basically just doing the pre-Christmas BS session.
Yeah. He had personal issues, so it's just us two for tonight.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're doing a show. Yeah, the show a week before. We usually do it every other week, but we're doing it before because next week is Christmas, obviously, and the week after is
the week after that because that's New Year's.
Yeah, so we wanted to get something before.
So look forward to January 7th.
So what have you been up to or watching or whatnot?
I actually haven't watched a whole hell of a lot. I did get something in the mail though. It was actually supposed to come by last show, but it was late.
Oh, I hate it.
I'd be pissed, but for the price I got it, I'm not pissed.
Oh, okay, this I gotta see.
So, Right Stuff was doing a sale, and they had the Blu-ray of the Mobile Suit Gundam movie trilogy.
Nice.
For like $12. So I got that.
Wow, nice. So yeah, it's all 3 movies.
All 3 movies on Blu-ray.
Cool.
Which is good because I've seen the series, but I've never actually seen the movies.
See, me, it's the other way around. I've only seen the movies and little bits of the series, especially when it was on Toonami.
Yeah, I 100% missed the series when it was on Toonami. I caught it several years ago when it was on Crunchyroll.
I remember I couldn't stop laughing when I saw the one scene, which is also in the movie. The Gundam is running, and they only drew the head and the shield and the beam saber, and that's it.
The animation is quite obviously dated.
But I actually like the movies. I wasn't bored at all with them,
right?
Despite the length or the animation quality. I enjoyed those a lot. Not my favorite Gundam personally, but I do see the appeal, obviously.
Certainly.
Yeah. I hope they either Right Stuff or one of those companies releases like the Ideon movies.
That'd be nice.
Because that I would get, especially for that second movie. It's really all about that second movie.
I got that. I haven't caught up with Girls Last Tour yet. Gonna hear me gush for the 87th time about Girls Last Tour on this episode. But needless to say, everyone should see it.
It's funny how I had a dream about that show, even though I never watched it.
That means you need to see the show then.
Like first off, they were very small. They were almost like elf size in my dream, and they were running in like they were running in like a deserted city. And I think they were on top of like a garbage can, and they were looking for like food, and there was someone else there.
Yeah, that you joke and that's like a dream, but that's actually not too inaccurate with what the actual show is.
Yeah. I'll check it out sometime. It sounds interesting.
Hey, this is the show. This is definitely worth checking out for everyone.
I could tell you what the show that everyone else should be checking out, Blend S. I love that show. It just continues to be just great at its humor. It's gonna pain. Yeah, that is gonna be painful. You know the Japanese word for pain, like itai. It's gonna be like that. It's like itai levels of pain when that show comes out, because it's an A1 Pictures, which means it's obviously going to be Aniplex.
Yep.
Which means I'm gonna have to like pay
that Aniplex money.
Yeah, which means it's gonna be like $70 for 2 volumes. Which, you know what? If that means I have to put aside a whole bunch of other shows, but man, it's so good. Oh, it's so. Yeah, I learned how to say panties in Italian. See,
that'll be good for you to know if you ever go to Italy. If you ever go to Italy and want to get arrested.
Yeah, mutadene. Oh no, my mother tongue slipped. That was great. Everything else I've been watching, Love Live Sunshine's been picking up. I still like the first season of Sunshine more, but the second season's been really good too. You know they're definitely gonna do a movie for that too. So
naturally.
Let's see. Side M has been again average, but the trap finally showed up. The character I've been wanted to show up finally showed up for about like 3 seconds as a guest, because they've been doing that for some of the other characters,
right?
Because not all of them have gotten focused. But damn, that doctor, the one that you thought you would like, and I told you, no, he's an ass. Yeah, damn it, what an ass. I get he's supposed to be like Chihaya, but at least Chihaya has a reason to be the way she was. This guy just has no reason to be the way he is.
I don't even know if I'm going to watch that show now. My favorite character is ruined. I don't even know if I'm going to...
It's like, God, okay, look, I know Chihaya's got, her why she was the way she was. This guy's like, okay, I get it. Maybe your sister died, just like how Chihaya's brother died when she was little. Spoilers if you never saw that part. His sister died when he was young, which is why he became a doctor. Yeah, it's funny how a lot of the characters have like, it's like before they became idols, there were all these like what, like doctor. Another one was a lawyer. Another one was
all these
a
like
pilot.
prestigious, successful positions.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, you know what? Fuck this high-paying professional position. I'm gonna become an idol.
Yeah, but no, because what happened
how that ends up being more stressful.
Yeah, and no, in this episode he's like, I'm quitting being an idol, and it's like, and I was like, oh god, what do you do now? It's like, what's his problem now? What else am I doing?
I'm quitting being an idol. Good, bye.
Yeah, don't let the door hit you. Omara-chan's been good. I think the first season's been better though. But again, it's still Omara-chan. It's still enjoyable.
Right.
What else? I love the background music Doga Kobo shows have. It's all from this one guy, and I really like the music he does for the shows that he's worked on.
I have to watch some of those shows back and pay attention to the background music. Then.
Yeah, Yuri, the one specifically, Yuri. Omara-chan, Love Lab, and
I still need to finish Love Lab.
Oh yeah, Love Lab is great. Forgot. He also worked on some that weren't Doga Kobo, but he worked on like Mitsudo Moe.
Oh.
What's this guy's name? I actually put it in the. Actually tweeted that today. Okay. Holy shit.
But yeah, like the only like one really good background music comes to mind as far as anime goes.
Yeah.
The only show that, and there's a few shows, but the one that really comes to mind is Hidamari Sketch.
No, Hidamari Sketch is a good one. Like, is a memorable one. Like, has memorable background music.
But Hidamari Sketch, Bakemonogatari sometimes.
Yeah, especially the original one. K-On!
The Outbreak Company's background music stands out just because it was weird.
Oh, both K-On! And no, actually I was gonna say K-On! As well, but Lucky Star and Working. That was done by the same guy. All right, here's all the stuff this guy. His name is Yasuhiro Misawa. Let's see. I'm not gonna read all of them, but I'm gonna read the ones. Gabriel Dropout. This is a Doga Kobo show. Something Only I've Seen. Gakuen Utopia Manabi Strait. Have you ever?
I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
I've heard of that one, but I've never seen it.
That came out the same year as Lucky Star.
Obviously, did not age as well as Lucky Star did.
Nah, but the ending is kind of sad, though. It can, but it was definitely. Let's just say it was definitely in that Puni Plush era of anime. Like they're high schoolers, but they look like Strawberry Marshmallow characters.
Right.
They're just. You think the girls in Lucky Star look young for their design? No, this is even more. Let's see. Yeah, Umara-chan, Kokoro Connect, Love Lab.
Oh, okay.
I have never seen this, but I know of it. Minami K. There's a trap in that show.
I've heard of Minami K.
Yeah. Mitsudo Moe. Both season of Puchimas. And yeah, Yuri. So, what else do I have? And yeah, what's the one? Love is Like a Cocktail. I've been liking that too, even though it's a short. A lot of these shorts they've been making over the years have been really great.
Yeah, it's really I keep meaning to watch some of these shorts, but keep forgetting about them because they're shorts.
Yeah, if anything, watch them when they come out. You could binge watch them, which is how I saw both seasons of I Don't Understand What My Husband Is Saying. I can't understand what my husband is saying.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the way I would end up watching them is just wait till they're done
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then on a whim just run through the whole series.
yeah. Some of them
I did that with one of these shorts. I don't even Ragna Strike Girls, I think.
mm,
Girls.
so,
So
yeah,
that was one of those ones that made to promote a cell phone game about
yeah.
giantess girls fighting monsters.
Mm,
I found because I found out it was a short. I found out about the anime via getting news from my distributor about a figure that was coming out based on that anime. So I'm
yeah,
like, hey, maybe I should check out the show, and then I ended up watching the whole thing in one sitting.
yeah. Like that's one I would recommend. Like this one from 2013, Iura, where the whole thing will take you like 45 minutes to watch. And that's about it.
Yeah, I haven't really watched a whole hell of a lot. I've watched more parts of some shows than I've watched like entire shows, and that's mostly for research for articles I'm doing for Yashike and whatnot.
Mm. Yeah.
But actually, recently I went through and rescued or salvaged all the stuff from my laptop's hard drive to put it on my like the big external I have that has all my anime on it. So now I've got all that stuff. So now I've got more stuff to go back through and more stuff to rewatch and whatnot.
Yeah. I recommend more Doga Kobo stuff. So that way one day we could do a Doga Kobo show.
I'm not even certain if I 100% finished and engaged the unidentified. I might have one or two more episodes of that to go.
Oh, all right.
Which is a great show. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, I have it. I have it. I own it.
It's just like with the way I watch anime, I just end up falling off on stuff. But that's what I might just rewatch that entirely.
Yeah, that's what I say. If you haven't seen it so long, I just rewatch the whole thing. Start again. Not my favorite Doga Kobo show, but still enjoyable. That's like a 4 out of 5 for me.
It's probably my favorite so far out of what I've seen.
My favorite would be it's a toss up between Love Lab and the first season of Amaru-chan.
Maruchan's up there for me, but I like Engage the Unidentified just like hit everything it was trying to hit perfectly.
The only one I did not like was that one.
Okay, New Game actually might be my number 2 because I've actually finished that one. But
New Game wasn't Doga Kobo.
Yeah, it was.
Oh no, it was.
Right,
it was. Why was I thinking? I was thinking of No Game, No Life. No, New Game. New Game was. I only watched the first season for that, which was it was okay, but not enough for me to watch the second season.
I still had to get on the second season. That show was amazing.
Yeah. Now I just want to look up Doga Kobo.
Like I feel like now my new like my pet genre for the early 2000s was early 2000s era mid-level harem comedies. I think my pet genre for like the 2015 and on era is going to be like cute girls in an office anime. It's like New Game was the shit. Shirobaka was the shit.
Yeah.
I say to finish Sakura Quest.
There's a few here that I didn't care to watch or only saw a tiny bit and just didn't do it. Like, oh man, Gekken Shoujo Nozaki-kun.
So I actually want to check that one out. That one looks cute.
Yeah, see, that one I couldn't get into. There's probably the reason why it not as a knock of it, but just probably why it didn't hit up with me was because it was more of a shoujo and less of like a less of like this is clearly an otaku thing.
Yeah, I'm fine with shoujo. What I most often find myself not liking is josei series.
They're okay.
And it's not for lack of trying.
They're okay. I've seen a couple of josei. They're very hard to get to appeal to me. Like I've seen fully the one Princess Jellyfish, which that's a josei show.
Yeah, so see, I couldn't get into that one. Perfectly good show, and it's like it's watchable for me. It's not like I'm gonna get upset if it's playing in the room while I'm in there, but it's like I just couldn't really get that into it.
Other than the main girl, all the other characters that lived in that house, I wanted to fucking slap them.
See, it couldn't even get me to like that level of emotion.
I get it because they're really into they're all really into the thing that they're into. But it was like the most overkill example of like this person's really into Romance of the Three Kingdoms. This person really likes trains, and that's all they're into. That's all they ever fucking talk about is that one thing.
It's like, and I get it, and I kind of appreciate that aspect of it because it's that kind of, and to be fair, yeah, it is the way they did it in Princess Jellyfish is kind of overkill. It's the kind of, and a friend of mine portrayed it this way. It's the kind of show that portrays otaku as a problem rather than giving a more down to earth view of the whole thing.
That's it. That's probably why also. Okay, what is some
and it's like that wasn't even my problem with it. It just wasn't hitting me at all.
I understand it. That's the way I felt about like New Game. It's just certain shows for whatever reason, even if the show themselves doesn't have a fault, just for whatever reason doesn't hit you the way. That's like Sane, the boring heroine.
Saikano?
That's it, Saikano.
Yeah, I can't understand why you don't like that anime. That anime is amazing.
I just couldn't get into it.
I have no idea what I don't know if it's something wrong with me or what's going on, but that show is.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I saw it past the first episode. See, that was maybe I should have watched more past the first.
The first episode kind of gives you an idea of what's going on, and realistically, what we're talking about is like episode 0, which is like happens at the far end of the series, like in between the first season and the second season.
You know that's getting a movie.
But good.
I saw that on the chart.
We need to get like all this show needs to be running for like the rest of anime.
Yeah. But before we close off, I actually recommend also Gabriel Dropout.
Yeah, I started on that one. I need to finish it.
Not as good as Umaru, but again, very similar feel and premise. It's weird how it reminds me of like a 90s cartoon. Not the look, but the premise.
Yeah, the premise and the execution.
Yeah, the premise and the execution. Not the look, but just like, couldn't you see them made like, here's an angel that came to Earth, but she decided to be lazy. And here's a demon, but it's actually a nice girl, and
right.
And every so often she has to go back to heaven, but now on Nickelodeon, now on Cartoon Network, Gabriel Dropout, followed by Dexter's Lab.
There's no way Cartoon Network is gonna run anything like Gabriel Dropout. Not on normal Cartoon Network, and not on Toonami either.
No, not like that. But I'm talking about if they had a show like that back then, not the look, just again the premise. I could have said,
I got you.
Yeah.
I understand. There's just no way that's gonna happen in modern times.
Here's one I want you to see, not for the premise itself, because I only found it average, and there's a reason why it's average. It's because the manga for it is very old. It's from like 2004. That's Sanyo Sancho. No, Sancho Sanyo. Sorry.
That's another one I plan on checking out.
But that
I'm gonna check that out that season, but I only watched like 2 shows a season, so that ended up not being the show.
But the animation quality, especially the first episode, is just like crazy fluid, and it's like one that you could tell that they really were into, which is again why I speak highly of Doga Kobo. Is you could tell that they're really into the stuff that they're animating.
Oh yeah, you can tell that just from the opening to Engage to the Unidentified.
Yeah,
it's like just the opening, and it sets the tone for the entire show. But Doga Kobo does work, and they do really good work.
Yeah, they don't make a lot. Again, they're one of those studios where they don't make a lot, but what they make tends to be something worth checking out. It's right. Again, I'm looking at they don't over like, it doesn't seem like other studios that do more than what they can handle.
Well, to be fair, all right, we shit on JC Staff a whole lot, but to be fair, given the realities of anime production, they don't really get a choice. What really probably happens is they take on all this work because they need to sustain themselves, and not because.
But that's weird. It's like, again, that's why I feel like JC Staff is the almost like orphaned idea studio where they'll just animate anything.
Well, it's like, what are they going to do? Say no and lose all that money?
I'm sure that happens to like stuff like KyoAni, where they've said no to stuff.
KyoAni, bring up Kyo. Like, can we please stop comparing KyoAni to JC Staff?
Okay, yeah,
it's like comparing JC Staff to Sunrise. Sunrise and KyoAni are different animals to the entire rest of the anime studio community. Like, they sit on their own production committee.
A1 Pictures and A1 Pictures.
A1 Pictures is also a different animal because they're tied to Aniplex.
It's true, but they have been like ramping up their productions over the years.
It's probably because Aniplex has a lot of money that they're giving them.
Well, that's what I wonder about JC Staff. Like,
let's compare JC Staff to AIC, or let's compare them to, I don't know, Studio Bones. I don't think they have any connections.
Yeah, no. Bones is more like, I forgot what was Bones formerly. They were former Sunrise.
Yeah, former Sunrise people, but are they connected to Sunrise? Is my A1 Pictures is a subsidiary of Aniplex.
Yeah,
so they're basically Aniplex's studio.
Well, you know what Doga Kobo's a subsidiary of. Formed by former Toei yeah, okay, so it's someone like
former Toei Animation, but not affiliated with Toei Animation.
Yeah.
I don't actually think it's I don't actually think it's 100% fair how much JC Staff gets shit on, because it's probably not their fault. They have to make so much anime.
Well, again, do they make like the bare, which is what I feel like, is that they make back just the bare minimum on the majority of the stuff that they've worked on?
Yeah, but at least they're making money. If they said no to those if they said no to any of those productions, they don't see any of that money, period. So it's like, hey, do we animate the I don't fucking know. I don't know what JC Staff makes. Do we animate fucking Vatican Miracle Examiner, or do we not make any of that money at all? Not a tough choice to me.
Yeah. Before we end segment one, I just got to see how many shows they made this year, JC Staff, because this would be. JC stands for Japan Creative. Oh my God! It just goes on and on and on and on. Shows. All right, let's look
For
at
my
20.
count, it's looking like 12, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Looking. Yeah, to be announced. To be announced. To be announced. Wow, it just goes on. Well, Food Wars just seems to be really popular with them.
Well, here's the thing: we can shit on JC Staff, but they still still make. Don't pretend they don't make hits.
No, they're not. They're not
on JC Staff like they don't. And let's shit on Gonzo, but they make hits too.
Yeah, but back then, well, Strike Witches, yeah, but have you seen like the number of that was their top hit? That was their best-selling show. But did you see like how many of these? I don't know. It was like Gonzo was just bleeding money to make all these like high-concept action shows that were more geared to like the Western taste of anime.
Yep, and they were punished for it.
Yeah. Yep.
So they were punished for it, and so in 2017 they made Akiba strip the animation. Okay, wait a second. We lost a whole lot of money making all this stuff for people who categorically don't patronize this industry a whole lot. So let's start making stuff for people who buy shit again. Akiba strip the animation. Let's go.
And what is it? They would always spend money to get the latest CG effects, which would be like outdated within a year.
Well, to be fair, they would have gotten shit on if they made anime last year's CG effects too. So that's sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
You know, and they would always do these like, we'll take this classic literary thing, but we'll like make it in like the future or something. They did that with was it Seven Samurai? They did a Romeo and Juliet one. They did what was the other one? Oh, The Count of Monte Cristo.
Okay.
I said Cristo.
Do we know if that was Gonzo deciding to operate just as Gonzo, or if they were hired to do that by a production company?
That was well. See, that was the other thing. A lot of these, I don't think a lot of these were even adapted from things. I think this was just straight. We got an idea, let's make it. Which again, good if you have a good account, but bad if you want to bleed money.
Oh yeah, and I understand what you're saying, and to be fair, like Gankotsu, The Count of Monte Cristo, that's an anime original. It's like a Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Anime original. So there's a good chance that they just decided to operate unilaterally. Shows.
Well, again,
it's fair if they want to do that, but if nobody wants it, then you end up suffering the consequences of that.
Again, Strike Witches was their top selling show. I remember what
isn't that hilarious?
You know what number 2 was for them? If you remember Vandred.
Oh yeah, I remember Vandred.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the third one, or at least one of the top tiered ones, was the first season of Saki.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But isn't that hilarious? They make all this like high concept stuff, and the thing that really puts them on the map is Strike Witches. But yeah, that being said, we're gonna move on to the break here. Keep it right here on NTR Radio. We got some micro topics up next. We will be right back.
Yep. Wow, there's some. Yeah, I'm looking at the Gonzo list now. Yeah. Oh yeah, I
Don't
remember.
get me wrong. There's some stinkers in there. There's some absolute stinkers up in there.
Oh yeah, they did. Transformers Cybertron and G.I. Joe Sigma 6.
Two shows nobody ain't talking about anymore.
Well, no, people still talk about Cybertron.
I have
That's
not heard a single person talking about Cybertron.
You're not going to see that in the anime fandom. You're going to see more for Transformers people. Yeah, there's Romeo Cross Juliet. Oh God, I remember. Hold Me. I remember this. Dragonaut the Renaissance. Resonance, not Renaissance.
Yeah. See, I only remember that through hearing people shitting on it.
I just call it Boobonauts.
Boobonauts.
Yeah. It's one of those where it's like, okay, it works in the world of like Siren Kagura, where everyone has ginormous titties, but there's like a tongue-in-cheek, playfulness to that. This is Gonzo's problem, where okay, we'll have the giant titties, but we're gonna tell a serious action story.
Well, like that was the problem with Divergence Eve.
Yeah, okay, it's the Divergence Eve problem.
The Divergence Eve syndrome.
I just remembered Aya Hirano was the dark skinned girl in that. And the way her boobs bounced, it looked like chocolate pudding. It was like, oh, look.
Studio Hal Filmmaker is the people who made Divergence Eve. I've never heard of the studio in my life.
Yeah. I know it's kind of like goofy to just say, oh, like chocolate pudding, but
It's such illustrious, and like they've made some anime that I've seen.
Yeah, so I've heard of that.
Okay. Princess Tutu, like some pretty significant shows.
Oh, I've heard of Princess Tutu.
Pre-tier, Bokusatsu Tenshi Dokuro-san, Aria the animation. What did they do in making Divergence Eve? And I think it's pretty funny that if you look at the Wikipedia page for Hal Filmmaker, Divergence Eve is nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found.
Where do you see Hal? With oh no, Hal. Business computer. Let's see that one. All right, I'll be right back, and then we'll get started.
Roger that.
Gonzo!
VZ, unmute yourself.
There we are.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was gonna go. I go away. Yeah, Garnet McLean is the character I was turning out from Boobonauts. Now I need to find that GIF from the series because that kind of just says all that you need to know about the. Hmm.
So Divergence Eve on some anything. 0,000 Club. Coming in
Wow.
at 966.
I wonder how much Dragonaut sold. Here, look, I put it on the side here.
Not the Resonance? Oh, you're going to like this.
No.
Dragonaut the Resonance, correct? Oh, you're going to like this.
Yeah.
0,000 Club. 536.
See how when she jumps up and then down, her boobs are still like they go up, and it makes it look like they're chocolate pudding. Make them out of pudding. 500. 500.
All right.
All
Let's
right.
roll into the next segment. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to NTR Radio. Of the pre-Christmas BS session, we have some BS for you. Easy, you go.
Okay. So I got some micro topics. And I think, given that this year has been filled with numerous examples, I think it's time to talk about traps.
Numerous examples and people bitching about those examples.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't know and don't care that people aren't talking about them.
Yeah, well, first off, when we say traps, we're talking about the proper term is otoko noko, which translates as male daughter.
It's a boy with a feminine. Yeah, it's a boy with a feminine body dressing like a girl.
Yeah, which isn't the same as transgender.
Not the same as transgender. And two entirely different concepts that are often conflated because, again, people don't know when people don't like it when people aren't talking about them.
Yeah, a good translation is femboy, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been quite a number this year. There's, of course, recently Hideri from Blend S.
Yep.
There's Saki from Side M. Idolmaster Side M. There's the one whose name I don't know, but the Fate series.
Astolfo.
Okay.
Rider of Black.
But they've been. I mean, there's always been cross-dressing characters in anime. Well, Osamu Tezuka put it in his thing. Only it was a reverse trap. You know about Princess Knight?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember Princess Knight.
See, even Tezuka knew. He was like, I can make money on this shit. But it's just funny, like how it's like such a landmine that people keep stepping on.
Well, it's because it coincided with transgender being on the rise. So a lot of people start conflating just being a cross-dresser with being transgender, which is not the case at all.
Yeah, and they get, well, first off, they take offense to the word trap.
Yeah, even though it's like, not to them.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I'm like, please lighten up,
Well, it is not even lighten up. They're trying to control people's language and not caring that a lot of people see that word as see the word trap as something empowering. Like if you're a cross dresser, and there are some cross dressers who appreciate being called a trap because it means that they look female.
Mm. But I guess some people take offense to the fact that they think that they're trapping someone to make them think that they're.
Yeah, which isn't the case.
No.
This isn't the case, and there really is no excuse for thinking that that's the case, because that happens compared to the number of times that it's just appreciated is minuscule.
Yeah. But yeah, I've really been liking traps over the years. I don't know what the first one that set me off for that. But yeah, just over the years, they've been putting them in the shows, and
For a lot of people, it's Bridget from Guilty Gear.
Yeah, I never saw Guilty, but I know of it or played Guilty Gear. But I know that one. Also, Jun from Happiness was another one for people.
So I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Have you ever heard of that one?
Heard of Happiness, but I'm not sure if I've seen the character.
If you see one with purple hair, a character with purple hair, that's Jun. Well, here's another thing. People get annoyed that the concept isn't treated. It's always treated as a joke in anime, which again, lighten up. Yeah.
Okay. Serendipitously, I looked up Happiness. Went down to the characters. Google search Jun Watarase. The first result is from something called the Anime Traps Wiki.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole thing is people get a bug up their butt about it.
The only anime I ever saw that did it, like, took the concept seriously, as far as like, we're gonna look at this in a real life wave, was the one Wandering Sun.
Yeah, that's one I still need to check out.
Which again, that's actually more like pre-transgender ish.
Right.
But yeah. Let me see. Yeah, oh, there's the one. Well, that's a reverse trap, actually. Subaru from what's the name of that show that you like? Shit. Now I'm totally lost.
Oh, Mayoshiki.
Yeah, Mayoshiki.
I need to rewatch that. I need to go back and rewatch that show. It's due for a rewatch.
Let's see. There was the one from hold on, let me have this thing load.
I just like that. So it just proves there's a wiki for everything, because there's the Anime Traps Wiki. It's like wasn't there like an anime bath scenes wiki? So it's not like this is a new concept that they just had come up with wiki sites for ridiculous things.
Yeah. Oh, hey, wait, 1 sec. Hold on. I got a trap figure.
Uh-oh. That
Sota
is... Yeah, I don't know the character.
Sota from Working.
Oh, okay.
That's the main male character. That's the only way he could approach the one that's afraid of men. Sometimes is when he dresses up like that. Uh,
It's like this is something that's like real insular to anime, because a lot of these characters, if you didn't know they were boys, they look just like
yeah, exactly.
women.
Well, here's another thing. Wait, the other thing was during his childhood, because he has all sisters, the clothes that they passed down, regardless, were from them. Yeah. So just by like, and I love the fact like he was wearing like he was wearing like a little girl dress and he had twin tails, and the father is like just enamored taking pictures of him. I'm like, only in anime that wouldn't be fucked up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you put that. See again. That's why it works in anime, but doesn't necessarily try not to think about this in real life terms, because there's
Try
another
not
one.
try not to think of his stuff out of context, because it just doesn't work.
Yeah, there's another. There's the most famous one, Pico.
It's okay. Pico only looks like a girl when he's in girl's clothing. Like otherwise that's a dude. But yeah, it counts to an extent. As far as Boku no Pico goes, Coco is.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Coco is like a higher level trap than Pico is, and I'm wondering why Coco's not on this list I'm looking at.
Coco. His name is motherfucking Coco. Oh, that's another one. Hideyoshi from Baka and Test.
I remember Hideyoshi was big a while ago.
Yeah, although I really liked it when
Black is the in trap now, but Hideyoshi was the trap. Like Hideyoshi is like the last generation trap.
But I actually liked it when the main male character, whose name I forgot, when he was dressed up like a girl.
I don't remember. I've only seen like I think I've only seen the first couple episodes of Bakenta, because we watched that in Anime Club and I never watched
I
any
actually
more of it.
recommend that.
I think I have it. Yeah, I have it, but I just never got around to watching very much of it.
Oh, Akihisa, that's the character. Okay. Yeah, there he is as a maid. There you go. Trying to remember the one that was causing the shitstorm.
Causing the shitstorm.
Yeah. Oh, Hime Goto. That's it.
And this is a I don't know what this says about the show, but I think one of the most fun things I remember about Himegoto was there was one subgroup that instead of the regular opening, they put "Where the Hood At" by DMX.
Yeah, I remember that.
Opening. And so it's just this weird juxtaposition of the show about traps with an opening of this real hardcore, extremely homophobic rap song.
Yes. That's here's another show. I never checked out Maria Holic.
I watched the first couple episodes of that. I think that's another one that like we only watched in Anime Club and I never watched very much more of.
You think I would like that? Or at least
it's worth checking out.
Yeah.
I think it's worth checking out. It's
a Shaft show.
So you know it's gonna be weird, but I think it's worth checking out. I enjoyed what I saw of it.
Yeah, I love the opening.
Oh, the opening's great.
Where it's like half animation and half it's computer, but it makes it look like it's live action.
Right.
Let's see. It's another trap.
Tell you what though, I'm looking at some of these reverse traps and their list is sorely lacking. Like they don't even have the young Yozora from Haganai.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's my favorite list.
They have that one girl I didn't like. They have that one girl I didn't like from Nisekoi,
That's the one.
which is a joke because I don't like any of them.
You hate her. Sugumi was raised as a man her whole life. She continues to wear the male uniform because it's easier to move in. Excuse me while I have to pee standing up. I'm gonna pee standing up.
Nigga, the classic Haruhi from Oran High School Host Club.
Oh yeah, that's another. I don't know. Did I see? I might have seen a little of that when I had the Funimation channel. That short.
That show. It's one of those shoujo shows that I just can't get enough of. Oran High School Host Club.
Right. There was actually an old trap thing from the 80s called Hikari-kun.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, Stop Hikari. That's it, yeah. Stop Hikari-kun. Oh, Hibari-kun, sorry. Wow, when did this come out? Manga series from 81 to 83. And when did the anime series came out in 83?
Yep.
And if you saw this, it would look exact like you would not know. Like, yeah, you would not know that's a.
Yeah, and like that. It looks like a girl, but I mean, it has done wonders for the trap concept.
Well, I see.
They can make these characters look just so much like anime girls, but just kind of off a bit. To make
well, that's the way I like it too. Where, the bulge, the trap bulge.
I mean, when we're getting to the bulge, where it's like, okay, it's no longer ambiguous.
Yeah, it's no longer a trap. You already know.
But it's like the feminine clothes, feminine mannerisms, definitely hair.
Yeah. Yes.
And the whole body type where it comes slightly in at the waist, like not so much in that it just plain looks like a girl, but slightly inward.
Yeah. Or they might have like slightly bigger hips, but not at the
Right, exactly. I don't know. It's I think it's weird how like right now happens to be like the trap renaissance, and
yeah.
also
That's
people
what
are
I would
getting
call.
like real up in arms about it.
Yeah, well, again, because of the certain, we'll just say, political climate of now.
Yeah, that fucking bothers me
It
because now it's like we can't even have fun anymore.
Yeah. All right, I think that's for topic 1. Unless there's anything else you want to add.
No, not really. Without launching into anything, not really.
All right. Okay. So this one, the next one's going to be one that I'm kind of seasoned with, and something
One that I am minimally seasoned with.
Yeah, one thing that I think is something that I know you would like to try. I'm trying to word this without like making you feel bad.
Trust me when I say I'm not going to feel bad about anything you say regarding this topic.
Okay. This is basically drawing anime or how to draw anime, which is something that I've ever since the discovery of anime, have wanted to like, what's that word? Like hone or like.
It's you've wanted to hone your skills.
Yes.
Like
and
like Japanese steel folded over 1,000 times.
Exactly. To the point where, yeah, I put my signature on my art, but if you didn't know who I was, you would think that my art came from Japan. That's kind of...
Yeah, which is a noble goal, as far as I'm concerned.
Which I'll get to which later on I'll get to the how not to draw anime. All right, so I think the way to start off is the sort of like, if you're drawing like fan art of characters, to look at the official art of it, which is go to the, like, and there's various ways. Screen captures from the show, or nearly any anime site for a show, a Japanese website for an anime will have like the characters. You go to the character page, name any of whatever show, and they'll have the characters and save those.
Yeah, and a lot of them have like that's the actual turnaround for the character too.
Yeah,
so it'll have the front view and like the 3/4 view
and the back
and a few like expressions and whatnot.
Yes. Also, especially if you're like coloring in like Photoshop, just use that color. So the question is the sort of, how to draw. Well, again, I there is an aspect to knowing a certain anatomy. I get that. You don't have to be. There is the thing, like, you don't necessarily have to be perfect with it, but it has to look at least legible to. But there is some, like, again, you can fudge it and it'll still look good. At least that's the way I feel.
Well, there's certain aesthetic qualities to how to go about drawing, especially cartoon characters.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get pissed off,
and it all goes into what kind of thing what kind of style you're trying to go for. Like, if you're making characters for a shoujo type of work, you're gonna have some different character design conventions than if you're making something for seinen or shonen.
Well, I get annoyed with the whole, like, I get what people say, but it's annoying when people like, you have to do 1,000 practice drawings to get your real, it's like, listen, you're gonna just naturally improve. If you keep making a lot, you'll just naturally get to that level, I think.
Yeah,
where you recognize your previous mistakes.
Yeah, I don't necessarily subscribe to the concept of you have to do 1,000 practice and so on and so forth, but before you develop your own style. I feel like that's something that's more fluid and something that evolves as you go on. And there's a certain degree of, yeah, you need to hone your skills to a certain extent before you start doing work that's satisfactory both to you and to your audience. But at the same time, I don't think it's that regimen. That's what I don't like about the art institution.
Yeah.
They like to put a bunch of like real hard, rigid rules on something that's supposed to be self-expression.
Yeah. The thing I notice about my art is, regardless of what character design style, there's always little things that I like to put in them that are like my own, because I'm very obsessed with shading, which is to be the shadowing of objects.
Right.
That's an aspect that that's actually what drew me. One of the aspects that drew me into anime is just the way objects are shaded and drawn, which made it more 3-dimensional than, say, Western animation.
Right.
I mean, even though it would be years later when I saw it, but being, you walk into a Sam Goody and you see the cover to Bubblegum Crisis 1, and you're 11. That's something you're not going to forget. Yeah. You know, the one where Pris and
I don't even know if I've Sam Goody in my life.
But you've seen the picture of Pris where the armor is like just coming off and it's like breaking apart.
Oh yeah.
With all the little bits. You're 11 years old and anime is brand new to you, and that's something that it's like, whoa, holy shit.
Well, and like that just happens across the board as far
and
as
you spend your life and then you's like, okay, I'm gonna learn to draw like that. It's one of those like epiphany moments of like, I'm gonna do whatever I can to learn to draw like that. I'm gonna make
see, like that was me up to like the 6th grade. Then I gave up. Well, realistically, I now write to compensate for the fact that I can't draw. But
that's funny. I have the 180, the complete 180 of you. I can draw, but writing is difficult for me. As I say, I can't write, but it's difficult to put my thoughts into words.
See, together we make one whole person.
Exactly. I want to find out.
It's not even like I was bad. I remember, and these are long disappeared, but I had made some through referencing official art. I made some Inuyasha fan art way back in like the 6th grade that I was really proud of. And I'd probably still be proud of them to get today, but they're long gone. So I used to draw quite a lot. To be fair, I'm not actually bad at drawing. I'm just bad at drawing like artistically. Need something designed, I can draw that shit up. But
yeah, well, graphic design and whatnot. That's another skill set.
I'm not even talking graphic design. I'm talking like mechanical design, design of actual machines.
Oh yeah, well, I love drawing
as a career.
I love drawing like mecha and all that. You've seen my art, both original and fan art. That's another thing that once I discovered anime, well, even before that, I was drawing robots because of Transformers and all that. So, of course, 5 years old, my robots looked like refrigerators with limbs. Is the way I describe it. I'm not kidding. That's what they look like boxes with limbs. But at least I had the sort of the knowledge to draw. What's that? 3/4?
Yeah, the 3/4 view.
Yeah, where maybe other children would just draw it straight on.
Right. Yeah, either draw it straight on or kind of like a side view.
Yeah,
like a 90-degree side view.
But yeah, that was just one of the things that blew was just the shading of anime and the meticulous detail. Not necessarily anime high animation too, but not necessarily. Even when I was watching the Guyver, like not so much the high animation because the series wasn't always fluid,
right?
But the meticulous amount of detail, and that was just something that just was like. Because it just like viscerally just get to that level of like it just awoken something in me to draw like that at that level.
That's funny. It comes to think of it, like I've never really characterized anime as being like this super high quality animation medium. There are several anime that have really high quality animation, but it occurs at certain points in time. It's not like constant throughout the medium.
True. Well, I mean, again, even though me recognizing like the difference between we're talking about the 1986 movie, by the way, Transformers the movie, and then like the TV series, and even I can like see the difference in
right, exactly. It's like the difference between Do You Remember Love and SDF Macross. It's like
yeah. But there was like, but again, but the other thing that I like to do that's very rare is, even though I draw digitally, I like to draw totally, like, not totally, but most of it in an analog medium.
Right, and then you scan it in and use software to do the
Yeah,
rest of it.
yeah. I use software. I do use Photoshop to fix some mistakes, like if there's something that's like not as bright as I want it to be, I just airbrush that.
Right.
It's very subtle. That's another aspect that I think is, you can do analog artwork, but if you fix it with it, the best is to be subtle about it, because otherwise it just comes off where you're then like, why'd you do one and then the other?
Well, yeah, then it just looks like it very obviously looks like you fixed something.
Yeah. And again, like for years, learning how to draw the eyes, anime eyes. Because
Yeah,
I was gonna say, it depends on what series you're influenced by, too.
yeah, like I said before, it's like you drawing for shonen anime is different from drawing for shoujo anime. So depending on you started out watching and what you were inspired by, your style is going to be influenced by that as well.
I think that's something I can't stand, is people who mix styles but don't understand that not all of them work together. And okay, I guess I'll get into it. How to not draw for anime. Stop it with the fucking Tumblr style, as I call it. Stop mixing Steven Universe with everything.
You notice this too. How come all the art out of Tumblr people, and I use Tumblr people as a general term, all the art, all of that kind of art ends up looking so similar?
Yeah, it all looks so similar, and it's like, I hear it referred to as Cal Arts style,
Oh yeah.
which that might be part of it, but I think also a lot of
Well,
it is,
that more refers to the kind of art that you see in a lot of modern day Cartoon Network shows.
oh yeah, that's it's amazing like how similar every single one of these shows looks. With the bean mouth, the bean head, and the bean mouth, bean smile.
My problem is how come 90% of the artwork give the characters bulbous red noses?
Oh yeah, the Tumblr nose is what they've all really into. Well, see, someone's gonna come around and say, "What do anime characters have overly, luminescent blush and blushing shoulders?" Um, it's true, but for some reason, the thing about the noses is it
But
makes them look like,
at the same time, there's kind of a reason that over that luminescent blush and the blushing shoulders. That's
yeah,
like the entire reason that, it's the reason women wear makeup. Like it's the reason women wear blush for makeup and whatnot. It makes you more attractive.
well,
It
I
makes
like adding
the characters more, in turn makes the characters more attractive.
blushing shoulders and the elbows.
It makes the whole character that much more attractive when you do that.
But here's the thing about the nose thing: it makes them look like they've had too much to drink. Like, there's this episode of, I haven't seen the entire show, but there's an episode of Dunbine where one of the characters, just for the entire episode, because he was drinking, his nose is just red.
See, to me, it just makes them look like they're the prototypical or like stereotypical depiction of Santa Claus.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, here's another thing. You noticed it. I actually had to point this out. Ambiguously brown.
Oh, where they just make characters Indian for no reason?
Well, it's supposed to be like, it's like we want diversity, but we're not going to state what they are.
Or we want diversity. We're not gonna make our own characters. We're gonna draw other people's characters as
Yeah. That's another thing. It's they take other characters, and like first off, you realize most of these characters are Japanese, right? You know.
Why do anime characters look white?
Now, see, I'll be called a hypocrite because I've drawn characters that were like small and draw them like chubby-ish, or even like bigger than that. But for one, it depends on what series, and two, even then, I still do in the realm of reality. Like I was doing that for Monica.
Sometimes it works because like you see how Mogadon draws Rei Ayanami.
Yeah.
And how it works well with Rei Ayanami in particular.
But again, there's still a notion of restraint and subtlety. See, that's another thing. These people don't understand restraint and subtlety.
Subtlety is big. Subtlety is really big.
They don't just make the characters fat. They have to add like stretch marks and or was my favorite thing, vitiligo. That's another thing they love adding to these characters.
I'll take your word for it. I haven't actually seen that. And
if you say every other one has every other one of these has some character with vitiligo, and it's like, no, stop it, stop.
And I'll say this though, and this is how you know subtlety is big. Look at Kaneko Mimura from Cinderella Girls.
Yes.
She's really only slightly bigger around the waist than the rest of the characters.
Yeah, the fan art is what emphasizes it more.
The fan art exaggerates that.
Yeah,
but the fact that the fan art even exaggerates that is testament to just how big that little subtle detail is.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with, again, an exaggeration of, because some people like a character's not. If a character has large breasts, then they make them like really big. Sometimes.
Yeah, there's an exaggeration.
My personal preference is, again, to be as close to the original character design. Sometimes a little exaggeration I do, but not to the level of like where they don't resemble anymore.
Right.
The only reason why I did the Madoka ones from years ago was because the whole like, well, there's different universes for Madoka. So I felt like that one was appropriate.
Right.
But no, usually I like to keep it to where they are. These people, again, and it's a lot of time it's not even they're doing it as a personal preference. They're doing it because of like, we want we want that diversity quota.
Right. I'm mad that this character isn't some arbitrary diverse race, so I'm going to make them that.
What's hilarious is, especially, I've seen it for all sorts of things, but it's especially apparent for certain shows, like Sailor Moon is a big one. Kill la Kill. I think I might have seen some Utena. Madoka.
I don't think I've ever seen Utena.
Madoka.
But these are all shows that are pretty big, so it's not a surprise to me.
What's that one? Omatsu-san.
Yep.
Love Live, which is funny.
Yeah.
I find hilarious that Love Live is so huge, but Idolmaster isn't for these people.
I don't, because Love Live is just bigger in the West than Idolmaster is. Happy about, but so be it.
Oh, it's just the way things are. But then they go off and like make Nico. They make her ambiguously brown, even though her like they state officially her charm point is her pale skin. That's just going against the character. And I'm like,
what? At that point, you just don't care about the character.
yeah, you're. It's that's another thing is in a way I kind of like respect the character, even if I'm drawing fetish art. I know that's like a contradiction to like how can you respect the character if you're drawing fetish art of the character?
Well, there's certain ways to go about it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't ruin the character's personality just to put out particular fetish art.
And here's another thing I see. One last point, and then I'll move on.
Yep.
So it wasn't so much about how to draw anime; it was just various points on drawing anime. Is what I'm stating. What I know another thing that a lot of these people do is they take a screenshot, but then completely redraw it in their style, in that Tumblr style.
I mean, I don't know. That's harder to hate on for me because, like, at least now they're just taking that and just putting it.
It's like they take it, but then they're just
at the
filtering.
same time, it's like, yeah. At the same time,
and
I think it's more valuable for everyone to if diversity and whatnot is so important, then why don't these people have their own webcomic? Why is it necessary to change around the races of people just to satisfy this arbitrary criteria?
Because they like anime, but they also are into that again that social justice thing.
Okay, and now here's where I launch into something. Why is it that whenever fan people have a problem with anime, like have a problem with the way anime does things, they need, like, the solution is now we need to change anime. It's like, why does your thing need to be anime? If you have so much of a problem so consistently with something anime does regularly, it's like, why has it got to be anime?
Yeah, make your own cartoon.
That actually brings up another point, and I didn't get into this because during neither during the podcast episode where we were talking about my Anime NYC adventures, nor did I get into it at the panel at NYC because I wanted to live. But when I was in that in the Blurred panel where they were talking about the Black Nerd experience,
yeah,
things they were bringing up is like so when at Anime NYC there were a few people booths at the in the vendor hall, kind of promoting their stuff, and one of them was this. It's like a Western produced animation, kind of like the kind of Naruto DBZ shonen fighting thing that's really big.
Yeah. Oh, so basically, let's make the most generic.
And I don't want to shit on it because it actually looks good and looks like they're putting a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
But it's all that with Black characters and urban culture, and again, it looks good and it looks interesting. But my issue is, why do we need to call it anime?
Oh yeah, that because again, calling it cartoons. Again, there's that stigma. It all comes from that stigma of cartoons equals children.
And see that this is where I would launch into something. Can we, instead of trying to bogart anime, instead of trying to co-opt the term anime, can we please actually fight the stigma of the word cartoons around here, so everyone can benefit instead of just
call it animation.
Anime fan.
You know,
or just call it animation. Doesn't matter. But my thing is, and this is actually becoming an issue with the greater anime fandom, and it's been an issue since that Shelter video released. and like the anime subreddit decided we're not gonna tolerate any discussion of Shelter because that's not anime, and it launched into this whole asinine discussion of what is and isn't anime.
What is Shelter again?
It was this like short music video.
Yeah, that was the one with the Moe girls, right?
No, that wasn't it. That I know which one you're talking about. That was a Pharrell video, and nobody was really getting into whether that is or isn't anime because it's a music video by Pharrell. Which not shitting on Pharrell. Pharrell's an amazing artist, but nobody was talking about whether or not that was or wasn't anime. But Shelter was this music video that came out, I think, 1 or 2 years ago, and it was a co-production. It was instigated by a person named okay, here it is. It's Shelter is a 6-minute animation produced by A1 Pictures and accompanied to the song of the same name by Porter Robinson and Madeon.
Right.
So it was instigated by someone from the West, but produced by a Japanese production.
So basically, 2/3 of 80s cartoon and some 90s cartoons.
Yeah, but we don't call those anime.
Yeah.
So now that gets into this whole discussion about is Batman the Animated Series anime? Because some of that was produced in Japan now, and the idea now is that now some people are just going buck wild with it. Say, hey, all animation is anime now, because we didn't come up with this term to know the distinction between this stuff and the stuff that we were used to happened, right? Because we didn't call this thing a different name because we believed it was different. And that's what bothers me, is that much like with the trap debate, people are not listening to all the voices that are trying to speak. I feel like with the anime thing and what is and what isn't anime, well, you can't really exclude from being an anime because it's all animation. That's all, and anime just means animation, because it's not like we've ever used a Japanese word differently from how the Japanese use it. And what I would like to
look at the word hentai.
If you've ever used the word hentai to describe erotic anime, I'm dubious as to how you're also able to say, oh, well, all animation is just anime and it doesn't really matter.
Because it could be worse.
Here's the thing. I get if that's easier for you, but at the same time, there are some of us who, how to put this? There are some of us to whom the distinction of the fact that it's created by Japanese for Japanese, released first in Japan, and has those cultural elements in it, has those cultural embedded deeply into it.
Yeah,
there are some of us for whom that's very important, and I'd like to know where we're supposed to go if everything is just anime now. I'd like to know if we're supposed to go, if we're gonna do the blurred panel thing and say, oh, okay, what happens when African Americans from America start making anime? And I'm not gonna worry about that, because they're not making anime. They're making animation, and they're often making very good animation. I don't want to shit on it. And another thing I think is the problem when we're talking about anime is a lot of people seem to take the word anime as a value judgment.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. Yeah, well, because like I said, cartoon, the saying cartoon has a certain stigma or certain connotation, just like saying anime has a connotation.
And my thing is, can we please fight the stigma around the word cartoon instead of trying to bogart the word anime? Because there are some people for whom that devalues the distinction, and there are some people for whom the distinction is very important.
There you go. I'm gonna come up with a new fucking term. All right. You heard it.
Why don't we just use animation?
There you go.
Why don't we just use cartoon?
Sunday, December 17th, 2007. VZ comes up with a new term.
2017.
Okay. All right. Anigloss. All right. Animation, but with the high glossy style. There you go. Anigloss.
That doesn't even describe anything.
All right. Hypergloss style.
But can we please just use animation, or just use the word cartoon, so we can slowly erode the stigma that's surrounded the word cartoon? So now when you refer to your stuff as a cartoon, and maybe point out that it's inspired by anime, certainly. And it's not like you're gonna look at Avatar: The Last Airbender and say, "Oh no, there wasn't any inspiration going to this from anime going into this." No, it's quite obvious. But can we please not pretend that taking superficial elements from shonen fighting anime, which incidentally just happens to be the type of anime that's had the most penetration into the United States. So let's take some superficial elements from that and a general purpose, quote unquote, anime art style, and make a cartoon out of that. And can we please not pretend that's anime?
I'm still waiting for the Western equivalent of like
the
Hidamari sketch.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
I know.
Because for people to whom the distinction and the deep-seated cultural elements are very important, it's faking the funk.
Wait. Western equivalent of Arrow Manga Sensei.
Yeah, it's not going to
happen. Come home if they still had cartoons in the afternoon.
So you're telling me that something like Opate would have ever come out in the United States?
Especially.
You're telling me that something like we couldn't. So you tell me
Girls
something like
Panzer.
Girls in Panzer or Bakemonogatari would have come out. Strike Witches would have come out in the United States? No. So let's stop trying to please everyone and trying to be equal opportunity for no reason on this cartoon distinction, and let's just let anime mean something different to people for whom it means something different. That's all I'm asking.
All right, I think we'll end it there for that one. Finally, this is my third topic. Now this one's going to be a little difficult to kind of visualize because it's something that you're not familiar with, but it's something that it's an aspect of something that you can understand, and it is actually something that we talked about previously. All right, so little background. The majority of, because I used to be a big ass Transformer collector. Now I barely don't buy that many. Part of it is just changing taste. Part of it is I'd rather buy stuff like if I'm want a robot that's still kind of affordable but not low quality. It's stuff like a Robot Damashi. But I still like the domestic Transformer here and there once in a while. But here's the thing. The quality has just it just hasn't been as good. Even if they do something that hits my nostalgia or certainly has more articulation than the original figure it's based on 30 years ago, there's a certain aspect of like the cheapening of it where they're trying to make the figure more hollow, so you're basically paying half of it for air. There's a almost as for larger figures, they're going back and using stickers for detailing, which is something that only figures in the 80s used. It's also the price has gone up, but you're paying less. And the QC isn't as good as it was originally. I know that that's kind of a changing because now the figures aren't even made in China anymore. They're made in Vietnam. And that if you want a high quality Transformers, like a masterpiece, those are like anywhere from like 60 to 100 and up to like 200 if you want the premium. So, but here's the thing. I see this as a microcosm of people accepting mediocrity. Whereas I've kind of just said, you know what? I'm not going to really buy that, one here, one there. If I ask for, if there's a particular one that I see is done good, that I'm like, oh, okay. I prefer actually the smaller ones because those are kind of, I don't feel ripped off. The larger ones feel more ripped off because you're paying a lot, not including the masterpiece stuff. But the fact that collectors I see still buy all the stuff and then complain about this stuff after, when I feel like, again, it ties into sort of accepting mediocrity instead of wanting something better. Which, remember, like we were talking about pop vinyls?
Yep. I was just about to bring it up. Like, this is the entire paradigm of pop vinyls,
where it's like why are you excited over that Mega Man pop vinyl when they're doing a Nendoroid pop vinyl, a Nendoroid, Mega Man Nendoroid, where, okay, it's going to be a little bit more, but it's of a higher quality.
It's of a higher quality. It's of a higher quality. It's got a bigger feature set, and it interacts with other Nendoroids.
That's another thing. Yeah. You're not where, and it just aesthetically looks better. And that's there's sort of like cultural degradation going on where people just nowadays accept the mediocrity in everything.
I don't necessarily think it's a cultural degradation. One question I do have is, around what time did these lower quality Transformers figures start coming out?
I want to say within the past 3 to 4 years. I want to say the past 4 years, 3 to 4 years. But even maybe further if you go back to like, because the thing about the very old Transformers is you could still make those, but they're very expensive to make in that quality. And especially the early ones where they were high quality in terms of looks, but they were more like completed models. And they were actually quite fragile, which is why old Transformers that haven't had a reissue at all are very high in the market value because there aren't that many left.
Right.
If you wanted to buy a complete Generation 1 swoop, a Transformer that's notoriously fragile, you could pay anywhere for like, you could pay several hundred. You could pay like 500.
Yeah, because that means that person obtained it in the first place and kept it safe for that long.
Yeah.
But the reason I ask is because I was trying to figure out, because if that decrease in quality coincided with the rise of the Transformers movies, then that would be about like an 80% explanation for why that happened in the Transformers scene in particular.
Well, here's the thing.
But on a greater scale, I think to a certain extent, as as nerd culture, like quote unquote nerd culture, has risen and gotten more popular, I think people have gotten more and more into the collector sort of thing, where they want to collect things because that's like a nerd cred thing. So people will see, oh, you have this and this from whatnot, and they'll and that'll it gives you and to be real, there's a sense of pride in having a collection like that, and especially in the case of pop vinyls, being able to complete sets and whatnot. And I feel like that might be what's playing into, in particular, the decrease in quality as far as Transformers go, because the market's larger, and a lot of the market aren't the people who would be collecting this kind of stuff if it was still very fringe and if it was still relatively more expensive.
Well,
Because like a
here's
lot of it's like, ask yourself the question: are a lot of the people who collect pop vinyls, would they, if pop vinyls didn't exist, would they be collecting Nendoroids? And I don't think that's the case. I don't think the answer to that is yes.
well, you were saying about when did this start? Because I was collecting some of the movie figures, the live action movie figures. The first 2 years, especially the second year, was really good. And I know what the change was. I remember hearing complaints that, okay, because the designs got so complex,
Yeah,
that would go into the complexity of the figure. And there were complaints, like from the parents, about this being too hard to transform. So I think they were still decent in the third movie, but the second movie kind of had a higher. There was still a slightly higher, but by the fourth and fifth movie is where it started going down, and seeing these complex designs being simplified as toys, and that's where it kind of hit. So really, the past 4 years is where I would say this is kind of, even though it's been a slow start, it's I would say the past 3 to 4 years is where this has been hitting.
See, that does make sense, because as as they come out with the live action Transformers movies and whatnot, kids are gonna start to get into it, and suddenly they're not appealing to the collectors, like the old school collectors who have been collecting the shit for decades. They're not appealing to those people anymore. They're appealing to their new base of kids and people who are just now getting into it because it's the in thing to be into.
Well, Hasbro they always operated on the notion that collectors do matter, but having a new crop of kids is more important to, and having to go with the way current trends and toys are and how they've like what you could do, what you can't do now that you can do then. Again, one of the things I feel like, again, a lot of like the old figures, the like not I'm not talking about like die-cast metal, but even the plastic was just thicker. The ABS plastic was just thicker. It was a thicker, but you buy a figure today and it is so light in comparison, but you're
that's
paying
an easy
more.
way to it's an easy way to cut down material costs, is just make the material thinner.
Yeah, not just the material, but like things like the inside of the legs or the inside of the upper arms or various aspects are hollowed out as a way, another cost-saving material.
Yeah,
and that wouldn't even bother me
because they need to make a whole lot of them, because they're not appealing to the people who are going to pay a whole lot for the people who are few in number, but are going to pay a whole lot for what they're looking for. It's the same kind of dynamic that you're seeing going on in the Western anime disc market, where you've got a whole lot of, you got the Aniplexes and the NISAs, and
well, and
you had the Pony Canyon.
Well, yeah. Well, NISA doesn't do.
Which that business model didn't work out.
NISA
but
doesn't do anime releases anymore, really. So it's just really
so now you have just the Aniplex. But
well, you're getting like Funimation and Sentai doing the more premium release.
Yeah, exactly. But and at the same time, you're also getting Funimation and Sentai's regular releases, which are way down on the price scale. So they're meant to appeal to the and to a certain extent, this dynamic was more the case in the anime disc market a few years ago, because you had the NISA and the Pony Canyon and the Aniplex, and it was Sentai was really notorious for doing a lot of very obvious cost cutting measures with their discs.
Yeah, that was kind of their first early years, where they would try to cram as many episodes onto a thing. Then they heard that don't do that.
Exactly. So that whole market is starting to even out. You still have Aniplex doing their releases, but it's obviously working for them, but not anyone else.
Well, here's the thing about back to Transformers. Besides the movie stuff, they have like they had for 3 years. This is on their 3rd year. They're doing a thing called the Prime Wars trilogy, which is basically new designs based on older stuff. But the way it hits me nostalgically is because it's from the stuff from like it's a lot of the like 1987, 88 stuff. It's the stuff that when a lot of other kids were abandoning Transformers, I was still really into.
Right.
So there's that so basically, the majority of the stuff is for, even though they're making it for kids, it's really for people like who theoretically are people like me. And I feel like maybe the quality for those should be a little bit up, since it is for people like me. And the weird thing is that for a number of years, Takara Tomy, which is the Japanese company that makes Transformers, they have been doing slightly better jobs than the US, because it has to be better, because Transformers in Japan is a collector's only thing. It's not but they're doing the 3rd one, which is called Power of the Primes. They're releasing those figures into Takara Tomy almost unchanged from the US versions. So something tells me that people are theorizing, did Hasbro step on Takara Tomy saying your releases are cannibalizing on our releases, and so they kind of gave in to make it at the same level as the US domestic release. I mean, only time will tell when those come out, but it might have also been we want to rush these to market at the same time the US ones are too. So we're going to make them at the same level. And maybe down the line they'll release them again in slightly higher. But it's weird. It's a weird thing going on, that where I'm more critical and more selective. There are people that just will get it no matter what, because they'll accept the mediocrity because it hits their nostalgia bone.
Oh yeah, and again, because I'd be curious to find out if those people are like, what level of collector those people consider themselves. Again, not to value judge, but I've gotten a lot more discerning with what anime figures I pick up at, say, conventions.
Yeah, I do that too.
Over the years.
Like I used to just get whatever. Like I used to get a whole bunch of crazy trading figs and all that. Like I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't get a whole lot of anime figures anymore. I don't even get a whole lot of Gunpla anymore. Though to be fair, a great part of the reason I'm not getting a whole lot of Gunpla right now is because I have a whole lot of Gunpla already. That I'm planning on stripping down.
Yeah.
To make kit bashes out of, and two, there's some just sitting in boxes that I haven't finished yet. So I want to finish all of those.
Well, that's why you have to like
new high grades.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to get more into the master grades now.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
There's all these little Gundam figures found, and I'm like, okay, let me move on to something higher. One, because it's a space issue, and two, just because I kind of want something better. Like I finished.
I would also recommend the Reborn 100.
But I'm probably gonna get some Reborn 100s as well. They just need to come out with some mobile suits. I'm really pumped for.
Yeah, I have one, and there's one that there's like two other ones that I like to get someday, and then there's the other one that I like to get. That the one that if that F91 comes out.
But my thing is like you look at the high grade Jesta versus the master grade Jesta, because I have both of them.
Yeah,
it's like night and day. There's so much.
Well, I've been tempted to get
about the master grade Jesta than the high grade Jesta, and it's like, why even own the high grade? There's no reason to, because there's no reason to unless you're gonna kit bash it with the high grades.
Well, that's why if I do buy Gunpla, I only buy like 1/100, either Reborn or Master Grade, because there's been times where I've been tempted to get a high grade UC one because of a suit that I'm like, but I'm like, nah, it'll be the wrong scale and it's not going to be that good. That's why if I buy something smaller that's a robot, I buy Robot Damashi.
So the only high grades I really get anymore are suits I really, really like.
Yeah, I've been
or like stuff that one doesn't have a master grade, and two, I just think is really cool. Like I finished I think the Gundam Delta Kai or something like that from the Unicorn video game a while back. That's a baller ass suit.
Yeah, that's a cool design. I mean, there's still like I'm like just please come out with something for like the Gapland, either a Reborn 100. What? A Reborn 100.
Nice, the Gapland.
Or either a Reborn 100 or a Robot Damashi. Just.
I feel like they're gonna come out with a Reborn 100 Gapland.
Yeah.
I feel that coming on the horizon at some point.
Yeah. Well, now that the paradigm has been set to do, if they do like that one from F91, that opens up a whole bunch of these like cool late UC era designs that aren't going to get master grades but do UC stuff, because but again, that's like what you said. I only get characters that I really am really into. Even for stuff like, again, once I'm done with like Love Live Sunshine, that is it with Figma, unless it's a character that I really like. That is the last of having an entire set of something.
Well, yeah, and it's like what I'm doing with Nendoroids now. It's like I'm only getting characters that I really like.
Yeah, well, I don't mind getting more than one from a series that I like, but it has to be characters that I like and a series that I like.
Right.
So, but yeah, I understand. It's being more discerning. Where there's this thing about collecting where you start off really low, then you get a super high where you just get whatever, and then you become more discerning as space, money, whatever. Not.
Yeah, exactly. Like you collecting, you're like, okay, I've got this couple Adam figures, and this is really cool. let me get as much of this stuff as possible. And then you calm down. Like then that drive wears off and you're like, okay, off a bit. And just go for the stuff that I know I'm going to really enjoy and know I'm going to really value having.
Yeah. It's hard for me because I used to be a buyer of things there for shows that I've never seen but really liked, like certain robot things. But I learned I'd rather have stuff that I'm really into, that I really know what it's a familiarity.
Same here for the most part. There's sometimes when something just catches my eye so hard that I've got to go for it just because it's aesthetically pleasing to me.
But another,
like I have this figure of a maid from some visual novel that I've never played and don't even know the name of offhand, but the figure was just so striking to me, and the movement and the sculpt and the way that the skirt was presented and whatnot, that I had to get it just because it was so aesthetically pleasing.
But what was I gonna say? Because there used to be like certain robot things that I used to get that from shows that I haven't seen. But I was like really into. A thing to not fall into is something I feel like a lot of people fall for is nostalgia trap. Just because it's something that was something that you were really into, unless it's something that you're still into, I wouldn't bother with. Because there's something that.
Well, here, I think that there's a way to go about it. If you're highly aware, if you're self-aware that the reason you like this thing is because it reminds you of like that, it reminds you of that old times when like you were a kid and you were into this.
Yeah.
That's cool. And to be perfectly fair, often the reason that stuff is so memorable is because it was actually quality back then.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time when I go for something that I was into as a kid, it's because it still holds up today.
Yeah. Another franchise where that used to be really high quality and then just dipped over the years was Power Rangers / Super Sentai. Barring the, I can't talk about early Super Sentai because that's a whole different beast of like when Bandai / Popey was doing that, and that was the stuff like that used to have like the missiles there, shoot your eye out. That shit you could shoot your eye out. If you ever seen the original Chogokin Deluxe Go Lion, not the neutered Voltron toy that was released in the US. I'm talking about
Go Lion.
Yeah, that shit had missiles. Like back then, they used to just, and again, dripping with chrome and die cast. Those things, those toys were, again, they were for kids, but they looked more like art pieces.
Right.
Which is the only way that they could release those things, which they do. They make toys like that today, but they have to be collector stuff. They can't do it as kid stuff because one of the things that's changed totally from then, especially from the 80s to, especially like I would say starting from like the very late 80s to now, is sort of like the standards of like that, like it has to be for like, how can I put this, safety standards.
Because we're a litigious nation and people will get sued if their child is an idiot.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, a lot of the old super robots, and again the early G1 Transformers that were taken from Takara's other toy lines, all had like missiles and shit.
Yep.
But when they brought them here, they either weakened the spring or take it out completely, because there was a big thing about not having the shit shoot. Because again, you know about the Battlestar Galactica toy that some kid shat in his mouth, and basically died like that. And for a long time, toys didn't have firing missiles until I would say the 90s again, where they had to have it's like it has to be this long to.
Right.
So there was basically a more like standards of like what, but that also kind of like ruined certain aesthetics where, you know, you can't make this thing as pointy as it used to. You know, we can't make we can't put this chrome on because it might flake off, or we can't. And not only that, you know, we can't even put this much die cast because the kid could throw it and hit someone else. And it has to be under this price point. So we have to make it this size, and you notice how it's like, and you're left with like what you are today.
I'm so glad I wasn't into like action figure type stuff when I was a kid, because I would just be pissed at this point.
Well, your stuff, even when you were growing up, was still pretty good. You know, if you're talking about like the 90s, that was still pretty good.
Yeah, early 90s into late 90s.
Especially, well, here's the thing, even the early 2000s, again, I consider that a mini renaissance of robot stuff because of the popularity of anime. And that was the time when you could get really cheap Gundam figures on shelves and a whole bunch of other things like Zoids, and even Transformers was really good at that era.
Like that was when I was getting into it. Like I wasn't into like action figures and whatnot, but I had that very first Death Scythe Hell model kit, and I was so into Zoids.
And there was again, and you will never ever see that type of error ever again. The conditions have changed. That stuff only appeals to collector types anyway. But we're going back to full circle, and my point is, a lot of collectors accept mediocrity instead of sort of wanting something better.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a sort of thing that's occurring as we're seeing, again, quote unquote nerd culture become more and more a thing to be into.
Yeah,
is you're going to see a lot of people getting on the collector thing, but sort of being halfway about it and not having the same standards as.
Well, that's why
who have been collecting.
That's why I kept saying for pop vinyls, or like, see, I could be a nerd too. Look at my nerd stuff.
Yeah, but the thing about that is, I know people who own pop vinyls who are also who aren't faking the funk.
Oh, I'm not saying they're all pop vinyl or, you know, but it's, again, that their business model was, because we have all these licenses, that this person might be into just these couple of figures and then that's it. And then this other person might be into this type of couple of figures and then that's it.
And I mean, to a certain extent, like even that might be actually going too far with Funko's business model, because they have pop vinyls for NFL players too.
Yeah.
So like the
do they have Colin Clinkenbeer, or whatever say your name?
Colin Kaepernick.
That's it. Please tell me they have him.
Colin Kaepernick.
Is it healing?
It autofills on Google. So here we go.
Holy shit.
Funko Pop NFL Wave 1 Colin Kaepernick action figures.
Is it kneeling? Okay, it's not kneeling.
No, I doubt they'd get that political with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, well, I love the irony of like I remember seeing last year they had a pop vinyl Bernie, they had a pop vinyl Hillary. You know, someone missing there.
Trump, Arnold Trump. But that's the whole thing about the pop vinyl, their business model. Is that it's not even just nerd stuff. If you're that, I made this joke in one Iyashike article where like there's a person out there who lives and dies by the Denver Broncos, and they're not they're they're not from Denver. They don't even live in Colorado.
Mm.
So if you're that guy and you live and die by the Denver Broncos, you might own some Denver Broncos team member pop vinyls.
Mm. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if.
So it's really not even a nerd thing. It's just a general media thing.
Yeah, well,
like,
I wouldn't be surprised
if
like sports places now have like, you know, sports supply stores would have like some of those.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean that would make a little bit of sense considering their market, considering people, how deep people go with their sports fandom.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's about it for that. Unless there's anything else to add.
No, I just think that the whole thing is indicative of the fact that we're seeing a lot of people getting into quote unquote nerd culture at a surface level.
Mm.
And I can't hate on it because they're getting into nerd culture at some level. I only hate on it when they pretend they're into it at a deeper level than they really are.
Mm. But what about the long time?
Go ahead.
What about the long time people who still accept the mediocrity of thing? You know, is it because they're so attached to the particular thing? Like, let's say the people that collect Transformers and collect the really cheap. You know, is it because, again, I watch a lot of YouTube reviewers of like Transformers and things, and there's some that just buy everything that comes out.
I think that this is one of several things. I think that's might be a completionist impulse.
Right.
They just want every Transformers thing and don't really care. And at that extent, it doesn't really matter because they just get every Transformers thing, the good ones and the bad ones.
Yeah, I'm actually going to link you to something, and I want your opinion on it.
Okay,
that's okay.
But I think another thing that it might be is perhaps they haven't hit that plateau yet, where it's like me with 1/144th scale Gunpla. Like, okay, let me calm down on this. They haven't hit that point yet, and they're still on IQA. I just want to get everything that appeal, like get everything that I look at and I smile at, like get everything that appeals to me at even the lowest level.
Mm.
It might be that, or it might be that they just think that, okay, well, maybe this is the best I can do and I might as well deal with it.
Okay, I'm going to link you to some new Transformer figures that are coming out called an Evergreen line. These, before I show you the pictures, these are supposed to be designed to be like an inexpensive 4.5-inch figures that are like, I don't know what the price point is, but I want to say anywhere from like, let's say $5, $5 to $6. But this is what $5 looks like today for a like this is what $5 will be. You have to scroll down to see the other ones.
Right.
All right. Where it's like, I get it that they're doing an inexpensive thing, but why is it at? It couldn't have been a lot. And again, it's only because that's what the economics of it could do.
I'm gonna be very real, and maybe this is gonna sound mean, but they look a lot like McDonald's toys.
Yeah, exactly. That's what your if they were McDonald's toys, they would be okay. But for mass retail,
and not even that. If these were McDonald's toys, I'd be pumped. Like these would be some badass McDonald's toys, but for something you find on a store shelf, I'm like, okay, can we get a bit more out of this line?
well, here's an interesting thing. One more thing. This thing is probably a cyclical thing because there've been times where Transformers has kind of gone down in quality too, where kind of in the late 80s when the line was waning. You can even see one of the Pretender ones, which if you scroll down, because someone does a comparison. There's been where it hasn't been that great in quality, but then it gets up again. So it depends on what it has to do with, like if the market is smaller, and they can't do as much as they wanted to, but still have new product come out.
I think you're onto something here, and as
I heard that
as
argument.
as the market shrinks, they know they can still rely on their embedded fan base of collectors, so they start appealing more to the collectors. And then as the market grows again, they have more of a widespread appeal.
Well, when
That's
if by collectors they would make it more of a higher quality, that's not what's happening. But when the market shrinks for the stuff, the quality kind of goes down. Is what I see for Transformers as kind of like the cycle of Transformers that happens. So they don't have as much of a bigger budget because there's obviously people on the top saying you have to make this fit in this budget line,
right?
Unless you're doing a masterpiece, because that's a collector only thing. All right, they're coming out in Japan. You remember Beast Wars, right?
Yes.
You remember the character Dinobot, right?
Yes.
Okay, they're doing a masterpiece Dinobot that looks very much like the cartoon, and it's super complex because it's going to it transforms just to make it look like the cartoon and the cartoon Raptor,
right.
the robot. But here's the thing: the price point for that is $200.
There you go.
So that
So when all 8 people who are going to buy that, it's going to sustain that entire line.
Well, definitely more than 8 people, but I know what you're getting at.
I'm exaggerating, but it's like it's like you're going to see not as many people buy it, but because of that price point, it's going to sustain that entire line.
But that's actually that's the model for anime in Japan.
Yeah,
where
because it's not a mainstream thing, and because you can't expect a whole bunch of people to come out and buy it. That's why we have $150 anime figures and $50 Nendoroids, and like that's why, and to a certain extent, that's also why you get the 1/12 scale Panzer IV from Girls and Panzer that you put your Figmas in and costs like $150. $180 or something. This isn't a joke. This exists.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but that's why you also have like 1/4 scale anime figures of like, I don't know, name someone. The girl from.
That's why you have quarter scale anime figures of Rias Grimory from friggin' High School DxD and
Infinite Stratos.
And Infinite Stratos girl, Cecilia Alcott.
Yeah.
So it's a question of expectations. Are they expecting a whole lot of people in the mass market to buy it. And if that's the case, they're going to do everything they can to make sure they can manufacture a whole lot of them.
And in the case of like,
but if you're looking at something like the anime figure market, where a lot of it's pre-order driven, and a lot of it is, okay, we have this many pre-orders, which means we're going to manufacture this many of this figure, you're going to have not only high quality, but it's going to be high price, and it's going to be targeted at a very specific audience.
Here's another thing. Again, because they've been over the years been making.
I mean, maybe if the Transformers market, a portion of the Transformers market, were to center itself around the pre-order model, where if you don't pre-order this, you're basically never going to get it.
Yeah.
Maybe that might sustain a higher quality collector focused line. But if they're not doing that, they're trying to appeal to the mass market, which means everything's going to be of a level of quality that they can very easily manufacture a whole lot of them.
Well, here's the irony of that mid-tier Transformers stuff still tends, the ones that they make a lot of still tend to have shortages, because if they make a toy of a character that's of a very specific nostalgia point, but at that because it's of a specific nostalgia point, the people in the know the sort of like Transformers has such a American Western, but especially Transformers of like scalping. So you have people buy a crazy amount of the one of the and then turn around and sell it on eBay, and then people support feed into that and buy the thing off eBay because it's like, I gotta have it.
Well, maybe that's just that's just them underestimating just how many, like, not necessarily hardcore, but like higher mid-tier Transformers fans there are out there.
Well, here's another thing I heard.
Underestimating the power, just how big their embedded market is.
Yeah, I'm sorry to keep going with this, but there's like layers.
I'm enjoying this discussion.
It's almost like an onion. It's like layers upon layers of this. Another thing I heard, difference between then and now. The big things like Walmart and Target are what determine what comes out a lot of times. Back then, there wasn't. Back then, especially in like the 80s, you can have a case devoted to a particular figure. Today, they don't do that. Today, they have to have a case, and it's a bunch of in waves. They release in waves, and it's like of these several figures. But if one sells out, one character keeps selling out, but the others don't, but then the others stagnate on the shelf, they don't reorder the one that resold. The ones just stay on the shelf, and then then they get penalized, and then they don't make more of the other stuff that isn't selling, that should be more of. But the other stuff, it's kind of confusing, and it's kind of messed up, and I really, it kind of is one of the reasons why I get so turned off to this. If you were like a hardcore collector of this shit, you would have abandoned it years ago, like I have. Like, again, I can only do very casually now.
Right, and it's a shame because that's an entire sector of collecting just ruined by what is essentially just a poorly thought out business model.
Yeah, and not only that, but Toys R Us had to file for bankruptcy this year.
Toys R Us is done.
Yeah. They're not done completely. They've just like restructured. It's that type of bankruptcy.
So it's a radical restructuring, which means they were pretty close to done, but decided, you know what, let's not actually be done. Let's let's try and make something out of this shit Sunday.
Yeah. And the difference between, again, obviously you know about with Japan and the birth rates and how they had to, like, if you look at the toy industry in Japan, there's still kid stuff, but most of it has been adult collector oriented.
Oh yeah,
because that's the way to only survive. And it seems like, again, that's kind of happening here too, where there's not as many kids. See, that's another thing that's changed. Not as many kids are buying toys.
well,
I'm
yeah,
kind of like
a lot of kids are nowadays they're on an iPad from out of the womb.
Yeah. They have the iPad. Someone should draw that. It's like, hey, look, I got the iPad and I'm still in there. It's like, shouldn't you do your first cry? No, I'm playing Candy Crush.
Oh, I'm out here playing Angry Birds, son.
Yeah, so that'd be a great little. Where's his first cry? Not now. I've got my high score on Candy Crush.
Yeah, that's something that the toy industry here is going to have to contend with hardcore.
And so, in a way, people like me are almost the last generation of people who still get excited for physical toys.
Yep.
Because the kids aren't as into it. Yeah, I actually heard I like a little anecdote that Matt Alt said about like kids in Japan.
Yeah,
it's like, why buy the Gundam when you could be the Gundam in the game?
I mean, it's funny, but kind of the case, at least as far as I'm concerned. It's like, and there's a certain extent to where I'm really into just having the Gundam models and stuff, and a lot of that's the building process and kit bashing and painting and doing all the customization stuff. But I'm like, what I'm holding out hope for is some kind of like Gundam simulation game on PC where I can just use 2 joysticks and be inside the Gundam. A lot of what appeals to me for Gundam as far as like toy type stuff goes is the video games, because Gundam's got some really good video games.
Well, you should again, they got to come out with the Gundam game where you put the model on top and it scans in.
Well, I'm telling you, something like that's coming. Because have you seen? I know they did something similar with the Gundam Age model, because they came out with the AG grade models, which is like 5 very rigid pieces you put together and you put a little chip inside it. I think something's gonna happen with that at some point. It's like they can't not try it. They gave us Build Fighters. They can't not try it at this point. And so they have the framework. They have the AG thing as like a proof of concept. They have Build Fighters as sort of the hype machine to get the concept moving. And then they have Gundam Breaker, the video game, which is basically exactly what you're looking for, just all in a video game context. So what they need to do is to find some way to either scan Gundam models, or have it so you can identify individual pieces of different mobile suits and put them all together in a way that a computer will recognize all of them. They can't not be working on this. So
I think that's what they're going to do within the next 5 years. I feel like
within the next 5-10 years, we're going to see something like that surface, because there's no way they can't. There's no way they're not working on this. There's no way.
All right, I think we'll wrap it up here.
Yes, indeed. That's the show. The website is ntrradio.net, and the email address is ntrradio@gmail.com. Check out VZ's stuff at vzmk2. First time I used the drop in this episode. That was far too quiet. Let's try that again. Good. And I got to get my humiliation to where people can hear it. Check out VZ stuff at vzmk2moemekagatai.wordpress.com.
Even though I have it on private, but if I know who you are and I'll approve you.
Yes, indeed. Check out iashike.moe. In addition, check out shinakiba.moe for all your half-naked anime girl figures. Hit me up on Twitter at TEAnubis. VZ up on Twitter at VZMK2. The show up on Twitter at NTR Radio. Check out the Bakugajin Show and Otaku Midnight because both of them are really good. I'm Tom Force Anubis.
And I'm VZ Mark II.
And even though we experience a catastrophic drop in quality over time, every time we say it, this is NTR Radio.